People pleasing isn't kindness, it's survival. It's a learned behavior that kept you safe when love felt conditional. It's a trauma response, which is basically just a bunch of patterns and behaviors that you utilize to keep yourself alive. Coping mechanisms that helped you survive. When you didn't get the attention, the love, the connection that you needed at a young age, your little brain felt threatened. You can't survive as a little human without the love, safety, and sense of belonging to those around you. So what does your genius little brain do? You play nice. You read the room, constantly. Mitigate conflict, you become a chameleon, a sponge. You keep quiet to keep the peace in order to maintain connection to those who are most important to you. Problem is, when you're constantly in a state of survival, you never feel safe. And if you never feel safe, you never get the chance to develop a true sense of self. You don't get to know yourself, to connect with yourself. And you perpetuate this fear of abandonment by continuing to abandon yourself. You and your coping mechanisms become an echo of everyone else's needs, opinions, and desires. But here's the truth. Survival isn't the same as living, and it's sure as hell not fulfilling. At some point, you have to decide. Are you going to keep playing small, keep abandoning yourself just to avoid conflict? Or are you ready to create a life that is safe from within, where you get to decide who you are and what matters most? Because real peace, real belonging, comes when you finally stop shape-shifting and start showing up as yourself.
Have you ever felt like your happiness depends on what others think of you? Like you're walking on eggshells to keep the peace? Afraid to say no or speak your mind? Well, you're not alone. Oprah, the President of the United States, even the guy next door, on some level, we're all and while seeking pleasers. Approval is a natural human need, there's a point where it becomes a trap and a bed of thorns. Today, we're diving into what Harriet B. Bracketer called the disease to please, why it's damaging, and more importantly, how you can break free. It's natural to want approval. It's as fundamental as needing food, water, and shelter. We're wired to crave love and belonging. But what happens when this desire spirals out of control? You stop being yourself. You suppress your voice, your needs, and even your identity. I've been there before. Changing plans last minute, staying late at work, or saying yes when every fiber of my being screamed no. And the cost? Stress, anxiety, and growing gap between the real me and the version I was showing to the world. So some of the reasons why people pleasing just doesn't work. For one, you attract less people. Strong people admire authenticity. Over-pleasing can make you seem weak or insincere, pushing away the very connections you crave. You tend to love yourself less. Rejection from others leads to self-rejection. The gap between who you are and who you want to be widens, leaving you feeling ashamed and disconnected. Thirdly, you become more resentful. Saying yes to everyone creates resentment, not just towards them, but also towards yourself for constantly putting their needs before your own. Fourth thing, you're seen as less trustworthy. Hiding your true feelings to keep the peace may seem harmless, but others sense insincerity. Trust erodes when you aren't honest. The fifth thing that happens is you end up with fewer friends. Ironically, trying to please everyone can make relationships shallow. Without authenticity, intimacy fades and connections falter. The sixth thing that happens is you lose joy in what you love. Turning hobbies or skills into tools for approval, like baking cupcakes just to be liked, can transform passion into obligation. The seventh thing that happens is you fail yourself. The biggest loss is failing to be true to yourself. By constantly pleasing others, you reject the one person who matters the most. So, you want to know how to break free from the disease to please? First, start small. Practice saying no to one small request. Maybe it's skipping an extra task at work or declining a coffee date when you know you're exhausted. Next thing you can do is learn from role models. Look around at the people who seem immune to people-pleasing. They often say what they want and what they think and still manage respect and strong relationships. Thirdly, refrain from rejection. Not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Authenticity builds deeper, more meaningful connections, even if it narrows your circle. Last but not least, set boundaries with compassion. Standing up for yourself doesn't mean you're being harsh or mean. Use gentle but firm language to communicate your limits. I'll never forget the first time I said no to my boss. It was terrifying, but I stood my ground and refused an unfair request. And you know what? Not only did they respect me more, but I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. When you stop seeking approval, you'll realize you never needed it in the first place. You'll attract people who value you for you, flaws, opinions, and all. Here's my challenge for you. Today, gently tell someone no. Say what you really think about a decision or express a need you've been suppressing. It won't be easy at first, but with practice, you'll discover that the world doesn't fall apart when you prioritize yourself. In fact, it might just open up in ways you never imagined. The world doesn't need another insincere people pleaser. The world needs the real you. So, step up. Let your voice be heard. Let you shine. So, if this resonated with you, make sure you like and subscribe, and also share your thoughts in the comments section below. Together, let's break free from the disease to please and create a world full of authentic connections.
Constantly trying to fix and change certain things about yourself to get someone to like you is not only a trauma response, but it's also masking and people-pleasing behavior. To add to that, constantly trying to fix and change yourself is a huge indication that you're intellectualizing your feelings and that you don't know how to sit well with your discomfort. Similarly, constantly needing to distract yourself with technology, food, substances, other people, and yes, self-help is a huge indication that you don't know how to sit with your feelings and you don't know how to provide a safe space for yourself. To add to that, you're never going to hate yourself into loving yourself. You need to learn how to give yourself a safe space to feel your feelings so that you can cultivate self-love and self-trust. And to add to that, no one comes out of the womb hating themselves. It's something that you're conditioned into believing, so that makes hating yourself another way that you are masking and people-pleasing. And to add to that, if you dislike yourself because of things or people outside of you and you're constantly waiting for external circumstances to change in order for you to feel happy or to like yourself, then that's a huge indication that you have an extreme disconnection to yourself. Do you see how all these things kind of feed off of each other and then create a narrative that, if repeated enough, can create a negative self-image and identity for somebody? I don't know, just something to think about. Anyway, my name is Sarah. I'm your favorite self-experimenting coach or companion, and I help get people reacquainted with who they most authentically are. You're an amazing person, and I hope you have the best day.